Yep. All right. So I made a list of the top transfers based on what they've actually done this season, not the list, the preseason list that was put out, based on what they've actually done. And I think there's a top three clear cut, and there's nobody else that's really in this conversation. For me, it's John Tonje, Chaz Lanier, and JT Toppin at Texas Tech. Is there anybody outside of those three that I missed that you think are in that conversation? Because I mean, I went down the list. Norchad's been good, but there's questions about him defensively.
Norchad hasn't been good. I don't care.
He's averaging 16 to 10, but he's had
Don't
some
care. Don't
real
care.
defensive
Don't
issues.
care. There's a lot of good players averaging 15 points a game that hurt their team more than they help them.
Yep. I had Ryan Conwell on that list, but I think he's a step down from those other three. Miles Rice has been really good. Kobe Sanders at Nevada has been better than anybody will realize. Paulus Morauskas at St. Mary's has been really good. A couple surprising ones to me. Elijah Martin and Ado Thoreau have both been better than Janelle Davis, who everybody had as like a top three transfer in the class. PJ Haggerty's been really good, but for me, it's that top three: John Tonje, JT Toppin, and Chaz Lanier.
Don't you have to throw somebody from Kentucky in the mix just because?
Well, but they haven't really been consistent. Like you look at Andrew Carr's numbers, it's not like he's been consistent, but he came up big in the game.
Yeah. I mean,
Otega-Oweh's been great. Otega-Oweh deserves.
There's like five guys at Kentucky that belong in that conversation, which is what makes it hard to pick like just one. And that's why Kentucky's as good as they are.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the names you just brought up. Like I'm trying to find
Lamont Butler.
Lamont Butler, of course. I'm trying to find somebody else that would fit. And you look at the top teams in the country. Kansas's transfers haven't really panned out. All right, UConn, have not panned out to the degree. I mean, Terrace Reed's been fine. Mahaney, that's a very
well. Here, let me just kind of roll through the top 10.
Gonzaga didn't. It's not like Gonzaga, but Tennessee, yes, absolutely. Tennessee.
PJ Haggerty, Memphis,
and Rob brought him up.
Sorry.
PJ Haggerty deserves credit. 1,000%. Yep.
Here was our top 10 heading into the season: Janelle Davis, Cliff Amori, Kadari Richmond, AJ Storr, Norchad Omier, Umar Ballo, Coleman Hawkins, Jackson Robinson, Pop Isaacs, Great Osibor. They've all been fine.
No, some of them have been bad.
Some of them have been bad, yes. But they haven't been anywhere near as good as the top three that I mentioned. So it's hard. It's hard with these transfers, man, to see who's going to fit, who's going to connect well with the team that they're going to be.
You can look at a shiny object in a store and think the glasses are off and think that it is the greatest thing ever. And then you bring it home and it operates like crap. So my wife bought these. She bought these candy canes that are apparently solar powered, or so I've heard. My dad taught me on plug the light in. Plug the damn light in. Okay? Christmas Story. Old-fashioned. Christmas Story is based out of Cleveland, the movie. Lights are meant to be plugged in. Enough with this solar power crap. Sorry if I'm offending folks with that. But here's the thing. She gets these solar-powered candy canes out on the front walk. I'm putting these things in. Well, she's putting them in, and I'm trying to help, and she's telling me I'm wrong in how I'm setting them up, of course. I don't know how. I'm not a handyman. I try. And I'm looking at them, and when you look at something, you're like, this is not what was in the display case. This was not what was in the display case. Then a week goes by, they don't work. The solar-powered lights are not working. She goes, well, I'm going to take them back. I'm going to send them back. Here's the deal. There ain't a return policy on transfers. There's no return policy. Now, it doesn't mean the kids can't perform, but how many times have we heard it? NIL or not, Terrence and Rob, you hear a coach say, and you know who I've heard it more from this year? I've heard it more from trainers. The athletic trainers behind the scenes. And I asked them, how's this kid or how's that new kid to work with? And they go, yeah, you find out in the preseason and in season that there's a reason why they ended up transferring And there's a reason for it. And it's not to say kids can't transfer. Every kid's allowed to transfer. But we do talk a lot about the transfer portal in the offseason because it's sexy and it creates viewership. And I'm not saying we should change anything. But when you look at some of the best teams in the country too, look at a Marquette right now. They are the anti-transfer. They are the roster continuity to a T. And the teams that have roster continuity, Terrence, are the ones who are winning.
Yep, 100%. And look, hey, Rob's back. That was quick. Yeah, I think that's a big key, but I think there's always exceptions to the rule. I mean, obviously, but I don't know. It's tough. It's really, really tough. I think the one thing that you can take away, if the best 3 players are returning, those transfers are going to have to fit around where they're going to have to fit in.
Right. And if your best players are returning, so for instance, even though their best players, some of their best players returned, but others did not. They lost a lot.
I'm just thinking Kansas. Like you come to Kansas, you're fitting around Hunter Dickinson.
But this is a great point by you, because if you're a Kansas or a UConn and you bring in people from the portal, the reason why we put Kansas preseason 1 is we knew who was coming back. Then the gravy, Kansas right now, let's just say that they were okay in the portal. They'd still be in all our top 3 or 4 because of how many people they brought back.
Yeah.
They went to 1 because they crushed it in the portal. But we were confident in them being 1 because we weren't over-relying on their portal pieces to get it done. And neither is Kansas. Same can be said with UConn. Aiden Mahaney was an awesome pickup in the then. Thus far, it has not been good.
Right.
He would tell you he hasn't been good. But Connecticut was never going to be solely reliant on Aiden Mahaney to win games this year. They've been more reliant on, guess what? 2 words: player development. And you're going to see that development later today when Jaden Ross and Solo Ball get on the floor for UConn.
Yep, you're right.
I'm excited to see UConn play a Division I team.
This afternoon, man, 2:30. Here we go from Hawaii.
Peace week. We're in.